The Galactic Tribunal's verdict echoed across 1,000 worlds. The Vareth species would be eradicated within the solar cycle. Their crime was existence itself, a genetic anomaly that made them carriers of the Crimson Plague, a disease that had ravaged 3 neighboring systems. The Council of Aligned Worlds had deliberated for mere hours before passing judgment. Mercy, they declared, could not supersede survival. Ambassador Kira stood in the crystalline chamber, her blue-gray skin pale with terror as the sentence was read. Behind her, holographic representatives of the 23 surviving Vareth settlements watched in silent horror. 2 million souls, condemned not for what they had done, but for what they were. The sterilization fleets will commence their operation. In 30 standard days, High Arbiter Zolnax announced, his quad mandibles clicking with bureaucratic indifference. The Varath will be granted a painless extinction. This is the Council's final word. The feed cut. Kira collapsed to her knees. That's when the human delegation requested to speak. Captain Sarah Chen approached the podium with measured steps, her worn Earth Force uniform a stark contrast to the elaborate ceremonial garb of the alien dignitaries. Beside her stood Dr. Marcus Webb, chief of the Terran Xenobiology Institute, carrying a data tablet that glowed with accumulated research. With respect to the Council, Chen began, her voice cutting through the chamber's stunned silence. Humanity formally objects to this ruling. The chamber erupted. A species objecting to a tribunal verdict was unheard of. Humans had been part of the galactic community for barely 50 years, newcomers, primitives who still used chemical propulsion for half their fleet. What possible standing could they have? The Terran delegation will be silent, Zolnax commanded. You have no authority here. We have the authority of conscience, Chen replied, her dark eyes unwavering. And we invoke Article 77 of the Galactic Charter, the right of asylum. The holographic displays flickered with confusion. Article 77 hadn't been invoked in 4 centuries. It was a relic from the Charter's inception, designed for refugees fleeing persecution, not condemned species fleeing extinction. Preposterous, hissed the Talix representative. Humans cannot possibly accommodate the Vareth. You lack the resources, the technology, the will? Dr. Webb interrupted, stepping forward. That's where you're wrong. We've been studying the Crimson Plague for the past 6 months. The Vareth aren't carriers because of some incurable genetic flaw. They're carriers because their immune systems evolved in perfect symbiosis with the plague's ancestor strain. In their native environment, they're not contagious at all. He activated his tablet, projecting complex genetic sequences into the air. The problem isn't the Vareth. It's that every other species in this sector shares a common evolutionary ancestor. Everyone except humans. Our immune systems don't recognize the plague because we evolved in total isolation. We're not susceptible. The chamber fell silent. We've already begun preparations, Chen continued. Earth has 7 continents. We're offering 2, Australia and Antarctica, after terraforming completion. Completely isolated from human population centers until we're certain of safety protocols. The Varath can maintain their culture, their autonomy, their future. This is madness. The Krelar delegate rose, his crystalline body refracting light in angry patterns. Humans would risk contamination for a species they've never even encountered? Chen's expression hardened. We know what it's like to be written off. When humanity first reached for the stars, we were told we were too violent, too primitive, too dangerous to join galactic society. We were almost quarantined to our own system. But someone, Ambassador Kira's own grandmother actually, spoke for us. Argued that potential shouldn't be judged by origin. Kira's eyes widened. She'd heard the stories from her grandmother, the legendary diplomat who had championed the aggressive newcomers against council opposition. The Vareth showed us mercy when we needed it most, Chen said. Now we return it. Not because it's easy, not because it's safe, but because it's right. The debate raged for hours. Species after species outlined the risks, the unknowns, the sheer audacity of humanity's proposal. But Chen and her delegation stood firm, backed by mountains of research, contingency plans, and something the Council had forgotten. unwavering determination. Finally, Zolnax raised his primary appendage. The vote will proceed. All in favor of granting the Terran Asylum petition? The chamber's voting lights flickered. Red dominated, species after species rejecting the proposal. But then, slowly, other lights began to change. Green appeared. The Vareth's old allies. Species who remembered debts. Cultures that valued honor over convenience. The final count appeared. 2,847 against, 2,849 in favor. By 2 votes, humanity had saved an entire species. 3 years later, Ambassador Kira stood on a cliff overlooking New Vareth City, watching the twin suns set over the Australian coast. Behind her, Vareth children played in gardens that mixed their native flora with Earth's plants, creating something entirely new. Captain Chen joined her, now promoted to Admiral, her hair grayer but her smile warm. Your people are thriving, Chen observed. Because of yours, Kira replied. Do you know what the rest of the galaxy calls you now? The Asylum Keepers. Species that once mocked humanity now bring their refugees to your borders. Chen chuckled. We're not saints. We just remember being the ones who needed help. Below them, a Vareth teenager kicked a soccer ball to a human child, their laughter carrying on the wind. 2 species that should never have met, playing together under alien stars. The Council was wrong about many things, Kira said softly. But mostly they were wrong about you. They thought humanity's greatest strength was your technology or your adaptability. She turned to Chen, her eyes bright with emotion. It's neither. It's that you see extinction as unacceptable, even for strangers. Especially for strangers. Admiral Chen smiled, watching the sunset paint the sky in colors neither species had words for. We learned a long time ago that the measure of civilization isn't what you do for your own. It's what you do for those who can never repay you. In the fading light, New Vareth City glowed, a monument not to humanity's power but to its choice. The choice to offer hope when the galaxy offered only death. The choice that declared, simply and absolutely, not on our watch.